Good evening, hello, and welcome to another stream with me, Rambling Reese, or Reese Campbell. Like, uh, this is the second time I've done this, and I'm going to be continuing my development of a Wordle clone in Canvas apps. So if you weren't following along last time, then you don't have to. Really, this watch, learn from what's happening, what I'm talking about, how I'm doing things. By all means, though, go and watch the other one as well. But obviously, this is live right now, so hopefully you're here enjoying this live with me. Uh, I will respond to the chat, so if you want to, uh, hey Igor, uh, yep. So if there is anything you want to say or do or get involved, then please do interact on chat. I will be paying attention to it. Um, and with that, let's just dive straight in. Okay, so this is where we left off last time with a minor caveat and minor changes. So I did last week, if you were with me, then you will have known that I was planning on doing an hour-long stream, and in my head, I had this glorious idea that the whole thing would be done in an hour. Nah, not quite. Uh, I got a fair chunk done, but not enough. All right. So the issue I was having last time was that anytime I typed in any letters, they would all appear all the way down the why is that one? Anyway, they would all appear on every line, and that is not what we wanted. I did manage to fix it after the stream though, so it took 10 minutes or so afterwards, managed to sort it out. Last week, if you were following along, then you will have known that I got rid of a variable. I thought, in my infinite wisdom, that I didn't need to know the number of guesses. Uh, so which one? God. So one of the things I'm doing with this stream is I don't want to revisit constantly, and I don't really prep before the stream. So this is me live doing this. So I need to remind myself where I was at. All right, so words guessed, that's the table. So that's the actual words guessed. That's after we press enter. That's the one, our current word. So this is, no, that's the current word as in the word that's currently being guessed. One moment, let's just check. Did think that I had another variable. Where is the other variable? One moment, let's go. So in one of these, I did keep in the previous things. There we go. Number of guesses. All right, so now I'm catching up. I need to copy and paste this to things. And again, this version, I'm doing this in a way that someone that's new to Canvas apps might be doing it. So I am copying and pasting across various different controls. It's definitely not the most efficient way to do this, but it's an example of what someone might be doing when they first start playing with Canvas apps, really. So let's get that wherever that was again. Why has it disappeared again? Where did there it is. Okay. All right, so this is a bit different to what it was last time. Again, let me just make sure I can find the somewhere one of these I did have. There it is. All right. So this bottom one, this commented out code is what I had last week at the end of the stream. And the issue was that I wasn't actually checking for each of the lines whether or not the line represents the current number of guesses. So if I've not actually had a guess yet, so I haven't pressed enter, then there won't be any guesses. So it should be 0. So at that point, it's this first line that I care about. Every other box should have nothing, and it shouldn't matter. If I've pressed enter, then there's one guess that's had. Therefore, the second line should be where my text is input, and so that's where that comes in. So previously, I wasn't checking for the current number of guesses, whereas my change takes that into account. Again, I left this in a horrible state, so I'm definitely going to have to sort that out. Yeah, that's words guessed. Nope, that's not the one. Where did I put this thing? Sorry. I will get back to this in a moment. So this is interesting. This is not what I was thinking. Yeah, so there's the number of guesses. All right, let's just see. I don't know if I actually fixed this now I think about it. Let me see. So I have this button still, which is my reset. So just click that to reset everything. And I'm going to stick in a word. So first word, 5 letters, enter. All right, so yeah, that's working. Enter. Okay, so you know what? I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I obviously changed something, but for the life of me right now, I'm struggling to see why that has happened. Let's just see. Collecting that. Set in the car and set number of guesses. Yeah, so it is increasing. Words guessed. Right, okay. So I was a bit more clever. So while I am counting the number of guesses, I also realized I don't actually need a separate variable because I've got the collection. So I can just use that collection and count however many are in there. And we did cover the different counts previously, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. All right, so we have got the bare bones of something that is roughly Wordle-like. And again, like last week, I'm still not focusing on how it looks. I don't need to worry too much about that. Not yet. All right, so what do we need to do today? What we need to do today, let's get Notepad up. I do like taking notes in Notepad. So let's just put that to the side. So we need to highlight letters in Word. Highlight keys of letters in Word. Add backspace. End condition. Taking notes just for now. I'll talk through these in a moment, exactly what these are. Okay, and yeah, I think we'll start with that. All right, so highlight letters in Word. So for each of these boxes, it needs to be green if the letter is in the actual word that I'm trying to guess, and it's in the correct position. So that T, for instance, if the word was digit, this T should be green because that's correct. If this one here, for instance, if the word was digit, in fact, let's do that just because it's nice to have an example. Digit, that's the word. So again, last time I put this text box in so that it was, let's go and check, make sure that it definitely is doing that. Yes. So this is the word to guess. I'm just manually setting it right now. That's actually something else we need to add in is word list and random word selection. Again, we'll come back to that in a moment. All right, so digit. So T would need to be green because it's the last letter. This T here would be gray. I think that's what we're going with. Let's see. So this is the actual Wordle game. So let's go with my classic opening word. All right, there you go. Oh, that's not actually a bad one. All right, so it's this horrible yellowy color. So that means that A, U, and D are in the word that I'm trying to guess, but they're not in this location. So that's an interesting. Anyway, I'm not playing. I'm not playing Wordle right now. I'm trying to do this. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. Let's just do another word because we want to see if we can get that green. No green. Okay. Let's go and try get one of them. Oh, we're being very, very unlucky here. I want to get a green. Uh, it's not guard. That would have been one of the other options, but let's go with oh, no, 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 no. No, won't be that. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's go back to the building. This is not a stream of me playing Wordle, though that probably is another stream I should do at some point. No, no, this is a game of Wordle I'm building. All right, so this label is just showing the current word. So that's just for debugging purposes, like I was saying last time. Okay, so let's go to the green. So the green in the right place. Let's focus on this one because this one, so this is something I like to do when I'm developing an app. I don't call myself a software developer. I don't think of myself as a software developer. I am very much I am a developer, sort of, but for me, I'm a problem solver. So I know how to write stuff code-wise, how to make the Power Platform do stuff, but I'm not going to be able to build a website from scratch. That's just not my skill set. Uh, I am about solving the problem in a way that makes sense. It does the job. It's good, as in it works. It needs to work. It's been tested, and it solves the business need. I focus on business applications. Now, obviously, this is not a business application, but that's the set of goals I have. I don't aim to make the most efficient code ever. I aim to make it functional, and past that, if it needs to be more efficient, then focus on making it more efficient. But work in software trumps everything else. Uh, so to get to that point, I will often focus on a part of the app to test and build out. So you saw that last week when I was only focusing on a few letters in the keyboard. I wasn't doing the whole thing. And so this time I'm going to focus on this text box. So we want it to be highlighted in green if that is correct. So let us get started on that. So we did find this last time. We played around with it. We made sure that we could change the color. So that one is the fill. All right, so just to be absolutely certain, let's change that to 1. Good. All right, so that's definitely the right thing. Now I'm going to go with horrible, horrible garish green because I'm not copying exactly Wordle. So that's the green I'm choosing. So it needs to be that color if that T is correct, and it is. And again, we'll do the actual letter in a different color, so we'll do that in white as well. But let's focus on this first. So I need it to be like that. Now, how am I going to do that? I need to check. So this fill, like anything in properties within Canvas apps, I could put an expression in here. So the expression needs to evaluate to a color ultimately. So that's what this needs to come out to. So I can put in all sorts of variables and various other things as long as the actual output of the code that I'm putting in here is a color. All right, so generally it's an if statement of some description. So we need to, word to guess, we need to check that T, and this is the 5th box, so we're looking to see if that matches. So let's go straight with that. So first of all, I'm going to do the same thing I did last week. I'm going to throw in a lovely text label, and I'm going to play in there. First of all, I think it's mid is what yep, mid. And then var word to guess. We're going to start at 5. Take 1. And that should be T if I have done that right. Second T. Perfect. Okay. So that's getting the 5th character from the word. So what we want to do there is we want to, can I actually do just this? Ah, there you go. See, this is why I like labels. You can play with them like that. All right, so that's essentially what we're trying to do. And this T now needs to be the input from the box. So let's just take this whole thing and put it into the box itself. So mid equals self dot text. Now it's not going to equal, and also this is not output in a color, so that's why we've got an error here. Um, yeah, see, it's expecting a color. So let's just wrap this in an if so that we can do that. And then output. Oh, I hadn't got that turned on. Great. RGBA 02550. That's what the RGB A is. So red, green, blue, alpha. And each of these numbers represents a hexadecimal. It's a hex number. I won't go to the detail. Essentially, you can come up with any of the color in the color spectrum that a computer can handle with this combination. So the first number is the red, then it's the green, then it's the blue, and then it's alpha, so whether it's transparent or not. Um, the I'm putting red and blue at 0 and putting green at full 255, hence why it's that horrible garish green. And then otherwise, I'm just going to leave it at transparent. This will obviously need to change still, but we'll do that. All right, cool. So now we've got an expression that is doing something, but it doesn't appear to be doing what I need it to. Of course, there's more to this. Let's just highlight that, see what we're getting. So that is coming out at false. Now that is because I am doing the equality symbol, and that matches on case. So again, you can see the case is uppercase. It is stored in my word as lowercase, so we need to lower that text from the label. So lower. Again, you saw this last time. And there we go. We now have a working green. Now, if I do the same thing, copy that and put that in this 5. So this is my 5th character of the next line. So it should be more or less the same formula. There is going to be a tweak, and I'll change that in a moment. But I'll put that in here and validate that exactly the same formula should not highlight to green. Perfect. Okay, so that is working. All right, so that's 2 tests done. I've confirmed that the condition is working for the T in the right place. And I've also checked when the letter is not T. Okay, so if I come to this one, we want to do the same thing on this, but we want to check the first character. Ah, see, now I just realized that will get more complicated. So there is. Okay, so let me roll back again to the end of last week. So the end of last week, I was getting all confused and stuck in my own head trying to solve this formula. I wasn't doing what I said you should always do at the beginning of the stream. And it is something that I think I and any other developer or technical person does. You get so stuck in the world of what you're trying to implement that you don't break it back down to the basics and make sure you're doing each step correctly. If you're not going to do that, it's very easy to miss silly little mistakes. So if in doubt, if you are having problems, break it down to the simplest possible thing you can solve and then build it up from there. So that's what I've done with this T, because actually what I validated there is that I can check for that 5th. And so this is the condition where it's going to be green, but it should also be that yellowy, garish, horrible color if the T exists in the word, but it's not in that location. So there's actually multiple conditions I need to check here. So this only does that one thing. So if I come to here, this first T, and I put in the same formula, but change it slightly because we're actually looking at the first character. So now that T is not highlighted in green because D is the first character. And we can validate that because we can highlight this. So that shows D. We can highlight this and that should show T. And we can highlight both together and that should show us false. Everything is exactly as we expect. That is correct. However, this should now be yellow. All right, so how are we going to do that then? This is where we really get into, if you can do Excel formulas, you can do Canvas apps, because this is what you would do in Excel. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm going to just tidy this up so it's a little easier to follow. So this is just good practice for writing things out, just to make it. It is more verbose. It adds in more words for things that you don't really necessarily want always, but it is useful to follow it sometimes. It just helps to see what I'm doing. All right, so if condition. So if this is my expression, I'm checking for that. This is the true branch up to that comma, and this is the false. All right. So if it's true, we want that. Now we want to then check the next thing. Now there is an interesting thing you can do with ifs in the world of Canvas. It's not just an if true, if expression true then false. You also have another way where you can actually do. You can put in a second expression. You can actually put in string a whole bunch of expressions in here. So let's put that in just to be a bit silly so you can see this. And again, this is where IntelliSense can be quite useful. That's the thing that pops up to tell you what's going on. All right, so now that might look a little silly. All right, so if we go here. Okay, so that has popped up. So this is telling me that the shape of the expression of the statement that I've put in is looking like this. It's guessing that this is what I'm trying to do. So in this world, what it's saying is the logical test. So that's that first part before the comma. Then the true value, which is the bit after. Then there's a second logical test and the true value for that. So this true technically is a logical test. I've just hard coded it to true, but I'm actually going to put in the test there in a moment. And this would be the value in that case. And then the else is in every other situation. So for our requirements here, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you can also do a nested if. So let's just do it that way first. So let's just pull that out. So this is the more sort of common way that you'll see people doing this. If, so this isn't the false thing. So we've already ruled out the fact that the letter is not in the correct location for the current box. So this is the false branch. So in that scenario, what we're then trying to look for is let's start with the lower self text. So we're going to start with and hover over that. We should get, there's too many errors. It doesn't like it until I sort that out. So let's just move on. So if lower.text is, I don't know if I can do this, but let's give it a go. Okay, this might work. Let's just put in, I don't know, let's put in gray. All right, so let's nest that properly so it looks better, because right now it's a bit of a mess. So again, putting that in here is true. There is false. Okay, so this is more how someone might write this when they're new to these things, because this is how you would do it really in Excel or anything similar. And there you go. So you can see it's actually, so it is working. The in statement does work. All right, so it's highlighting gray because T does actually exist within that text. Great, that's wonderful. So it's working. I don't like this form, so I am going to modify it. I'm going to take that bracket out. I'm going to take this if out. And I think that will, yeah, there you go. So it still works. So we're just going to modify that, pull that in. And now what we'll do is we will say, I don't know how to better express this. Let's say logical 1, true 1, logical 2, true 2, else. So what that's saying is exactly that. So we're testing the first part and it cascades. So it will break out at the first point of true. So that's why this works. So I should be able to, in fact, I should be able to, let's just validate by taking that same formula and going back to my green t, because now we've changed it. We've added more to it. Let's replace this one, change that back to a 5. And yep, still green. Excellent, working. So what we'll do now is I'm going to do this one. No, not the text. Always make sure you... And another point from the stream last week. Yeah, so I've delivered a whole bunch of app in a days. So Microsoft does single day training, partners deliver them. They're very good to get your start with Power Apps as a whole. Good introduction to the whole platform, and you build apps. It is worth it. In that, one of the first things that we always tell people, always save your app. When you're in this editor, this does not autosave. So as you are, well, it doesn't autosave until you've saved it. I think it actually does autosave a little bit out. Anyway, we can validate that in a moment. But that first one, if you don't hit save, then you don't have an app. So if the browser crashes, or if you do something, you navigate away, you forget, the app is not saved. And that's exactly what I did last week, an hour and a half, and I didn't save. So at the end, thankfully, I did click save and realized I hadn't saved. So in fact, I'm going to click save now while I'm at it, just because it's always a good idea. All right, so what am I doing? I'm selecting that, and I'm going to do the fill on that one. So we want to paste this in, so it should be 5 again. And, now that is interesting. Okay, so I've been testing this in different scenarios, so we expect, and this is one of the pitfalls in development that you have to be careful with. It's something that test-driven design tries to deal with. Now, test-driven design, the whole concept of that from a software, a development paradigm, is you come up with the tests before you write the code. So you're actually driving the design based on the tests that you're expecting to validate. That does make a lot of sense in many different ways. For this, I'm testing the positive cases. So I'm purposefully targeting things that I want to validate. And as a result, I'm getting positives. So you can end up in a bad situation like this, where I've assumed that should work, but actually it isn't going to work here. But, and again, I'll roll back to what I said earlier. Because I'm doing this one scenario at a time, I know that this formula that I've put in place has worked for the green, for the right place character. I know that it works for the wrong place character, but the character's in the word. This one here, I'm now testing what happens as I type it. And I can see, right, there's something I didn't take into consideration. So what is happening here? Let's check. All right, so this is the formula. Let's first of all go with the lower self.text. What is it? All right, it's nothing. But interestingly, what is nothing? Is it an empty string? As in, is it that? Or is it that? We talked about this before. Blank is kind of considered null. So which one is it? So we don't actually know at this moment in time. What we can do is, again, go to our lovely thing up here, and I'm going to simulate the formula that I have in the other one, where I'm doing lower capital. In fact, let's do an empty string. All right. So that looks exactly the same. Okay. Now, what is it? Is it equal to blank? False. Right. So it's not blank. This is what I mean. Break it down to the simplest thing. In the world of logic, as in mathematical logic, you've got your axioms. The whole point of, well, a big part of logic and solving logical conundrums is to break down the logic to axioms. Central, God, it's been a long time since I've done logic. Essentially, it's the building blocks of your logic. So what is in absolutely true? What is not? What have you proven that is absolutely true? So in this case, I know that lower of nothing is not equal to blank, because this is coming up false. If I put in a space, still good, excellent. Now, if I was to take this out and put in an empty string, true. Okay, Great. So I know that that text box, actually, no, I don't know for certain because I'm simulating this, but I can say with some certainty that it is an empty string. Although interestingly, that's an interesting expression showing up. All right. So what is going on here? Let's try that. So it's an empty string. We know that. We're doing in, and then for this, we're putting in digit because that's the word. All right. So what's going on here? True. Well, that's weird. Apparently, within digit, there is an empty string. I would not have guessed that. This is why it's worth testing and validating. When it comes to using different languages, I know that people say Canvas apps are PowerFX. It's no code. It's not no code. That's absolute rubbish. You are writing code. Now, you may not be writing code as a true software developer with object-oriented design and repeatable functions and all that fancy stuff, but this is code. So what we're doing here is there's an expression, and we're validating how the keywords evaluate within the language of PowerFX. So this, I have made an assumption by writing this out, thinking that there is no character called empty string in digits, so it shouldn't come up true. But in this case, it does. In other languages, something like this might not do that. So we need to check for that. So what we need to do here is we need to say, what do we want to do? We want to probably do that first. So let's just try throwing that in first. So we're going to add another logical step here. So I'm kind of screwing up my, do we need it at the top? Let's put it down further just to see if it works better that way. I'm going to put in another logic. So logical 3 this time. Ooh, what's it generating? What? Ooh, Copilot. Let's see, make it. All right, fine. Let's see what happens. What? 3 greater than 0? No, that's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Let's ignore that. Okay, so what we want to do for this one, actually, no, we can't have it here because this is the one that's actually coming up as valid. So it's never going to get to this third one. We have to do it up top. So again, and I said this last week, my ability with logic on the fly is not great. I always have to validate and test. That's why it can be a little bit on the slower side for me. So let's do logical, let's say 0, just to be confusing. All right, so what we want to actually do here is if lower, in fact, no, we don't need lower at all. If self.text equals empty string, then parent.fill, no. RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0. Awesome. There you go. All right. So if you're ever doing this kind of cascading logic, you want to rule out the simplest thing as quickly as possible. So self.text is empty. I don't need to do anything else. Just don't put a color in there because there's no text. There's no point. Next thing after that, I'm then testing very specifically, is it the right letter at the right location? Then I fall into something a bit more broad. So it won't get to this if it's an empty string. So we take that out. So the only time it's going to get to here is if there is a letter that is in the box that we're looking at, and it has not been matched to a specific location. So that should be our final formula from a logic perspective. Again, not pretty, but from a logic perspective. All right, so let us. Oh, I'm very, very, very against the idea of just copying and pasting this formula because there's so many things that can go wrong with it. But I'm going to stay the course. The next version of this, I'm going to iterate it and take on some learning. I'm going to make it better. So there'll be other things that I'll do. So for instance, the colors I will set in a variable in the app, and that way I can change the colors on the fly once without having to copy it to every single box. I could do it now, but I don't want to. I want to make this as beginner as I can possibly show it in many ways. All right, so we've got this horrible gray. I don't really want the horrible gray. I really want the other color. So let's see. I'm going to do a very web developer-y thing. Just ignore this. There's nothing happening here. You're not seeing anything. Just ignore it. We want to find background color. That's the one I want. See, we have an RGB. So RGB is a standard in web technologies, on computers, but this RGB format is exactly what you see. And this is, again, a bit behind the scenes and behind the curtain, so to speak, of Canvas apps. A Canvas app is really just a front end to a web development thing. So Microsoft has built a platform that allows you to build an app with point and click and a bunch of formulas. And in the background, it basically compiles that, sort of, into an actual web app. So everything we're doing here does translate to the web technology in some way, shape, or form. So that's why there are similarities to what you're seeing on screen for that web app in here. Let's just copy this straight in, and I'm going to put in that. And then obviously uppercase because we need to do that. And there you go. So now we got that horrible yellowy mustardy color, whatever it is. But again, we're doing this on the control that doesn't have anything, which is why it's not showing up as anything useful. You know what? I'm going to go and get the proper green as well. Oh, I don't have the proper green. You know, no, I can't even do that. I need to actually play the game to do it. My brain's not in it to actually play the game. Let's just do... No, that would be... You know what? Let's... Let us just try. What do you mean that's not a word? That okay, fine. Hey, there's a green. Excellent. Interesting. Okay, so what's that color then? That one is this. Excellent. So there's our green. Let's go put that in because that's a much nicer green. I think in future I'm going to have to put some music in the background on these streams. I need to look into that. That'll be fun. Get some heavy metal. You can you can select the music that I play. All right, so it's not showing up there. Obviously, that's all good. Now we're going to copy this and we're going to put it in here. Hey, excellent. Much better green. Look at that. Excellent work. If I do say so myself. Okay, so good. I'm going to just put the same thing in here. Now, what I am going to do, I'm going to select. So if you hold down Shift, you can select multiple controls. Then you can actually select a property. And the fact that there's nothing highlighted in here is because each one of these boxes has a different formula. What I can do is I can just paste a formula in, and that will now replace whatever is in that same property across those controls. So it is an easy way of copying things across to multiple controls. So obviously, that's only going to work if it's the same formula that it is supposed to be. So you can see that's working. Excellent. I is showing up in mustard. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right, so let's go and do that for the others. Let's go and throw those all in. So fill. And for this one, it's the fourth letter. And all of that's good. Copy that. Shift, select the lot. Not text, make sure you select the right property. Don't overwrite the wrong thing. And there we go. G, perfect. This is working. This is working nicely. Oof. Again, just keeps going back to text. Always be careful, especially when you're tired and you're trying to go fast. It's very easy to make mistakes in Canvas apps. The common one is moving a control. Oh, that's a horrible thing, especially if you've manually lined everything up and then you accidentally click a thing and move it over. Oh, it's so painful. So try not to do that. Um, where was I? This one. Fill. It's 4. Yep, we want that to be 3. Wait to then take that. Do, 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 do. All of those. Update that fill. There we go. None of those. Yep, that makes sense. Perfect. Every time. Every time. So this one is the second. Select all of those. Select the boxes. Make sure we've got all of them. Make sure we're in the right property. Maybe I should just repeat it to everyone that's listening at the time whenever I'm doing this myself. It does keep you in line. Um, one thing to talk about. So the formula I'm doing here, this is one of the things that's quite nice about this kind of development. And I do call this development. You're doing what's the name of it? It's functional programming. So what you're actually doing, you're not doing a script where if this happens, then do this. So, well, I am doing if, but it's not that there's one long script that's just continuously running through. I'm setting formulas that will update whenever something else changes, whenever the state changes. So the function executes when the value of the app, when the thing changes within the app. And that's why this is quite nice. So I can just set these formulas, and just like that, I've got text boxes changing color. I don't need to do anything different to make that happen. So it's pretty powerful, function-based programming like this. All right, so fill, paste that in. This one's the first one. Select the lot, and then paste it into the others. Why has that one got filled, but the others didn't? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, anyway, right, okay, perfect. So let's go and cheat. Ooh, actually, no. Let's go back to our requirements. Um, there we go. Highlight letters in Word. We can say that is done. Highlight letters of keys of letters in Word. Okay, so this is going to be basically very similar to what we've done here. Sort of. All right, let's go back to Wordle. All right, so the keyboard. So you can see light gray for any keys that haven't been used yet in a word, in a guess. The guess is important in the actual guess. We've got the same mustard and the same green for the letters that actually are. It's actually highlighting A and D as green because they are success. Oh, that's actually, I'd never even noticed that before. Oh, that's going to be tricky. Huh. You know what? I might actually have to come back to that one. I'm just going to focus on just highlighting the keyboard to a different color if it is in successfully in a guess. So I'm not actually going to do that part because that's I got to think about that again. Back to my logic. It's too late for that kind of thinking. So, and also I want to try and keep it to an hour, which means I've only got 15 minutes. So we're definitely not going to get through too much more, if I'm truly honest. So I want the backspace. That's one of the first things I'll do. So backspace. I'm going to select my enter. I'm going to copy, and I'm just going to paste a new thing in. I'm going to change the text. Let's just make it that. Oh, that looks horrible. Let's not do that. Does that look any better? Okay, that works better. That's basically backspace, isn't it? Well, that's very misaligned. There we go. At least it's roughly in the right place. Now, because I copied that, it's going to have exactly the same formula for my onSelect. I don't want that. I want to get rid of this. What I do want to do is, in fact, let's not get rid of this. What I want to do is set the var current word is equal to the var current word. Because what I want to do is basically go back one in this variable. So again, we want to use that mid because this is going to be essentially a subset. I'm going to start at 1 and I'm going to end at the length of var current word. Now, I believe that's not going to work. We'll come back to that in just a moment as to why. I just want to make sure the formula is correct. Okay, so let's talk about what this is doing. What I'm doing here, when I click this button, it's going to set my current word variable to the current value of that as a subset. So starting at the first character all the way to the length of the word. Let's actually take -1. That should work. So let's just hover over this and we see that is OKJ. So we can see that there. If I hold down Alt, like last time, that allows us to play the app to an extent. So it allows me to press the button. As soon as I press this, that J should disappear. And there you go. Now, if I do it again, back to O, do it again. Now, question is, what happens if I press it one more time? Ah, something goes horribly, horribly wrong. Ooh, that's really horribly wrong. Let's reset. Oh, I shouldn't have reset so much. Oh, right. Okay, you know what? Let's add a few letters. Oh, see, this is why we test things as we go. That shouldn't happen. So I need to change it. So there's another condition in there. Fun. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's get this, because this should not be showing us the actual thing. Otherwise, the game's not a game anymore. It's just mash the keyboard to see what happens, which obviously we don't want. All right, so backspace is working up until the point that there's something there. So what we want to do is we want to check here first. So we only want to do this if var current word is not equal to empty. Does that work? Ah, okay, so they're not equal. Oh, wait. Oh, this is one of the difficulties of doing things late at night. So current word. All right, okay, let's not do that. Let's do equals. If it's equal to blank, we're going to do nothing. Otherwise, we're going to set. That's one way to do it. I could negate this in theory. It just doesn't work like that. Oh, there you go. Like I said, I don't do Canvas apps that often, so IntelliSense is useful. In the languages I usually use, that's what I would be doing. That's your equals, but that's actually a SQL expression, so not equals. Another way you can do it is you can actually do the exclamation at the start and wrap it in parentheses, and that would also negate. But just for simplicity, I'm going to go with it in this format. All right, so there we go. No problem. It's not doing silly things now. Excellent. All right, let's fix that other issue that we've got. So what we want to do for the color is we want to add another condition. So again, we want it to be, if there's no text, that's hard and fast. I don't need to change that. I'm going to put in logical 0.5. Lovely. True. And then this, we also want to be nothing. In fact, I can add it to the top one if I really wanted to, but I'm going to just put it here because it's nice to have them explicitly separate. So that's going to hard code it. I don't want it to be hard coded, but it's just a starting point so I get rid of those horrible errors. It's just nice to not have the errors in place, and then you can work from a good starting point. I didn't update that. Let's just do true 0. True 0.5. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to check if, oh, and this is where we have to hard code stuff again. So this is the first line. we want to check if the count of container, a collection, words guessed. Let's just check what that is currently. Of course. Let's just put in something that works. That way I can validate. So highlight that. 1. Okay, so we currently have a guess. Yes, we do. Okay, good. So what I want to actually do is the the box I'm working on is this first one. So it's there should be no guesses for this to actually work. So here I want to do if count is not equal to 0, then does that work? So in all other cases, it's going to be, yeah, I think that works. Let's copy that down to the next one because that's where we're going to validate. So not equal to, and this one needs to be 1. Again, I'll talk through this in a moment as to why. So D, no, it's not working. Why is that not working? So count of that is 1. So if it's not equal to 1, then it's, okay. Right, I think I actually need to do it in a different way. So this is, so rather than try to be clever, I'm just going to, and again, I go back to what I was saying last time, and I don't want to do the same mistake this time. Make it work. You can always tidy it up afterwards if you have to, but really the, the key thing to do is make sure that it works. At least for me, that's my main goal behind any of this. So I want to make sure that this is right. So what are we doing? So we do want it to be green, but we only want it for the ones before, so it needs to be less than 1. And okay, I'll check in a moment. This is a horrible way to do it. It really is. Okay, well that's promising. Let's try take that out. Let's put in D-I-G-I-T and enter. Yeah, see, now that hasn't worked. So this should have actually Ah, for goodness sake, right. Okay. It's funny how my stream has got to exactly the same point that I got to last time, in that I'm stuck on a logical question. I always have to think these through. I really should probably write it down. That's what I should do. But then that's not very good for a stream. So let's just remove that for now. Let's just take that out so I don't get too confused with it. Okay. So what we want to be doing is we don't want it to be doing the highlighting if the current box is the same count. Maybe that works? Does that work? So self.text is equal to that. Or count a words guessed equals 1, 0, 2. Why is that not giving me anything? 2. Oh, because we've moved on to the next. Oh, for goodness sakes, let's reset. D N G L T. Enter. Oh, that's interesting. Huh, that looks like it's working. So does this make sense? Okay, so let's talk it through. Let's talk it through. So self.text is empty. Nope, it's not. Definitely not. Or the count. Oh wait, this is not going to be right. Equals 1. So what that's saying is basically if I'm working on the line on this line, then we want to just default it straight to that. We don't want to do anything else. Okay, good. Yes, that does make sense. Let's try that in the next one. Take that expression and just add it to there. Hey, now we're cooking with gas. Yes. Yes. And this is what I love about programming. It's frustrating, but when you solve the thing, it's just such a good feeling. Especially if it's something that bugs you. I mean, obviously this has only been a few minutes, but if it takes you a whole day to solve a problem, so much fun. Okay, so let's try any old letters. Perfect. Yes. Yes. That's what you want. Yeah, that's working. Excellent. Cool. So now let's just retrofit that to the other places. So again, go up here. That needs to be equal to 0 because there's no guesses already. And let's just copy that to, I wonder. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. And even though they're exactly the same. Oh, no, they're not exactly the same, of course. I wonder, are these exactly the same? These are. Hey, there you go. So I can do it down the way. All right, let's do it down the way. God, I got to remember to actually explain what I'm doing because not everyone's in my brain. All right, so we're putting in the or expression. I'm not being tidy here in any way, shape, or form. Now, what I can do here is I should be able to select all of that because that should be exactly the same. It's not exactly the same. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to focus on going along the line. Make sure that the line, because this is easier to copy and paste and not make a mistake. Don't know if you guys heard that. It sounded like an alarm in the background. All right, so then let's do this one. So that's now 2. Ooh, that was an interesting black. And this is where the do not repeat yourself adage of true programming really rings in my head. This is truly horribly repeating myself. However, again, I reiterate, that's what I'm doing here. The whole purpose of this is to go from basic beginner through progressive steps to show what you might do as you go along. And at the same time, learn. Because to be honest, I don't do this anywhere near enough, which is one of the reasons I'm doing it, because I personally want to also up my skills in the Canvas game. And I want a working Wordle clone because I love Wordle. It's a fun game. What I will say, once this is done, I cannot release the code because Wordle is technically a copyrighted game. I have a bad feeling that if I put this out into the public domain as an actual thing you can download, I don't think they'd be very happy. So I will not put it out there. But you're seeing me build it, so you can follow along and build this yourself if you really, really wanted to. That's my stand on it. Hopefully that's okay. All right, well, that's the hour, but I just want to tidy up a few things. So that's it now, all in. So we should have a working, highlighting. Yes, look at that. Highlighting boxes. We've got enters working, backspace is working. We're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so there you can see there's some conditions we need to work out, but that's working. Perfect. So if we go back over, so we got one other requirement. Oh, wait, no, we got backspace. Yes, we got backspace. Uh, highlight keys. Can we do that quickly? Well, we're not going to do all of them, obviously, but... So what we want to do now, there's a quick way to do this that I can think of, which feels dirty, but quick. Oh, wait, I've already done it. Letters used. Ha! Oh, look at that. It's like I actually thought this through. Look at that. Perfect. All right, so I'm already doing it. Okay, I need to change my backspace. So what I was going to do is I was going to put in a collection that collects the actual letters as I type them. And that way, that's what I can check. And that should be pretty straightforward from a keyboard perspective. But I need to make sure the backspace also removes the same thing from that. So I have my collection letters used. So what I want to do is I want to... Ooh, that's a good point. How do I do that? I want to remove the last one. So I did this last time. Let's see. Oh, what's this? New and improved memory. That's nice. Oh, 1 second. I'm going to do something fancy here. Hey, blur it because I might need to log into ChatGPT. And I don't want everyone seeing everything on my ChatGPT. Because, you know, ChatGPT is my life, as they say. Hey, there we go. Perfect. Right. So in Power FX, I want to remove the last entry. I'm going to call it an entry in a collection on selecting a button. That should give it to me. Remove. Oh, really? That's simple? All right, let's give that a go. Now, I did say last week, use ChatGPT to validate stuff like that. Because this is a very simple thing and it does make sense, I'm going to just try it. I would recommend you do actually go to the Learn documentation, find that function it's telling you to use, and just read it. Just make sure that it is actually doing what you think it's going to be doing. So the sort of things you're looking for are, you are looking, does it apply to Canvas apps? So it does. Okay, so it works in a Canvas app. It removes records from a data source. Okay, so I'm not working with a data source, I'm working with a collection. So that's interesting. It might not work, but we'll see. Specific record from records. Okay, there we go for collections. The entire record must match. You can use... Okay. So what it's actually telling me to do, now this is assuming that the collection is a last in, first out, LIFO collection. Some programming terminology. Basically, it should always be in the same order. I believe collections are, so I'm going to work on that basis, but we can test that. So I've got the backspace selected. I'm going to do remove, collection letters used, last, collection letters used. So in theory, that should give us what we need. If I highlight my collection, the last one is a G, and there's a G, and there's a G. So if I press backspace multiple times, I should get back to K. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully, the last thing in there is now a K. Yeah, as I thought, it hasn't quite worked. I wonder. If I just keep pressing it, will it eventually just remove everything? Is it maybe just doing it in the wrong order? Oh, look at that. It's getting smaller. So it's definitely... So this is it. That's my test. I validated that it's not in a certain order, so that isn't going to work for me. Interesting. And this is what you have to be careful of when it comes to ChatGPT. It just doesn't necessarily do what you want it to do. All right, let's see if there's a collection. So what I'm going to look for is collect. Because what you can do is if you look in the documentation, sometimes it gives you examples and it also tells you of ways that you can use it. So sometimes it's quite useful. So it's saying you can use it to selectively remove. It should be working. Let's see if it tells me what the last is. Value I. Is that what it is? It is. Maybe it is working. Maybe it's just not. You know what it... No, that's definitely not working. DTDII. So just clicked it 3 times. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so it is definitely removing something, but it's not removing exactly what I need. I wonder if there's a different way to do that. Go to... Yeah, I don't want to complicate it too much. I definitely want to do it in a different way. Okay, I'm just going to stop there because, to be honest, I need a bit of thinking there. So my current thinking of using a collection to collect the letters as I type might not be the right way to go. So I need to think if there's a different way to do it. My thinking at the moment is to see if there's a way to collect unique characters and only add it to the collection if it doesn't already exist. That way, when I remove it, I'm always going to remove that particular one because I don't actually need to have it in a certain order. I just need to have a collection of the letters so that I can validate against them. So that is my gut feel as to the way to go. The other way to do it would be to go through the collection of guesses and look for the letter. But I just feel computationally that's going to be more complicated. I just think it's going to be better to do it in a different way. In fact, maybe even when you actually press enter, it's going to do it when it collects the word. Yeah. Actually, that's while we're here, let's just finish this part off because that's something that I noticed. So what we should be doing here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we have got to more than 6 guesses, then it should do nothing. So if count A of collect call word. Goodness. Let's just get rid of all that. And call. Why is it confused? Huh. This is the problem with doing things late. It really is. Okay. Control Z is your friend. So words guessed. That's what we want. If count A of that is greater than is great. Yeah, greater than 6. Let's just go with that for now. My brain's just stopped working. Then do nothing. Otherwise, we collect and do all the other stuff that we want to do. So does that work? What are we at the moment? We'll be more than that at the moment. Yep, definitely. Okay, so let's reset. So da, -dee, enter. Da, da, dee, 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 dee. Oh my goodness, it's actually irritating to click these buttons. It's so much easier to use my fingers. I really do need to get some music for the stream. I think that would be good. Enter. Okay, so now count of words 6. It's still doing words, but that's fine because that doesn't actually matter. Press enter. It's up to 7. That actually does make sense. we need to, yeah, okay, so it stopped at 7. All right, so that's fine. We'll deal with that when we come to the end condition, because that's really where we want to change that. The other thing I noticed there is, so if it's greater than 6, we want to do nothing. Also, technically, when you put in less and you press enter, it does this. I'm not doing anything fancy visual. That's just not going to happen in this app, at least not right now. I would like to look at that in future. Love to try and do a little animation like that. That's very advanced, so that'll be the future. For now, we want to maybe notify. Yeah, let's notify. So if it's, that's just to do that. So what we want to be doing is if, oh no, if the length of var current word is less than 5. Do we have notify? Is that? Yes, it is. Notify. Word too short. Let's just make it simple. Ooh, yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, let's reset. Hey, word too short. What do you know? Wonderful. Of course, that's just going to stay there until I get rid of it. Let's just tidy that up so that we actually have a timeout. Let's go with 1 second. So enter. Oh, that's interesting. Notification type. Always, always, always check the IntelliSense to validate what it is you're trying to do. Notification type. Notification type. Error. Definitely error. 1000. Yeah, word too short. And then it goes away. Wonderful. All right. So that's really, really good. I will do one little, again, I'm extending the damn stream, but I'm on a roll. Okay. So here's a little sneak peek of what we're going to be doing next week. Hopefully this is going to work. So I'm going, this is a bit of stream magic. I'm going to switch my scene. Et voila. In fact, 1 second. I'm going to go back. Let's save that. I've saved it. Let's publish. All right. So for anyone that hasn't done Canvas apps before, saving is one thing, but to actually make the app available to other people, you have to publish. I'm going to publish that. And that's what this is going to do. And I should have done this beforehand, actually. I haven't already shared this with myself. Well, actually, I'm in as that user. Okay, no, this should work. This should work. I just need to. All right, so it's saying publish is successful. So not Wordle, not Wordle is now available to everyone. Good. All right, now let's go back over to that other scene. What do you know? All right, so what have we got here? Let's just hope this is still working. Is it still working? No, that's kicked me out. 1 second. That and this. Go. Yes, there it is. All right, so that, what you're looking at right now is, yes, is the Power Apps app on my phone. Isn't that cool? That's really cool. So let's go and see what we've done. So I'm going to go to Not Wordle, the thing that I've just been building. Load that up. And look, I've got Wordle. I can tap things with my keyboard. Oh, that's interesting. That first, oh, I've done something. Oh, yes, I've broken something. That first text box is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. But the things we've done, oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's a quick fix. I know what's happened there. So the things that we've been doing, there you go. Word too short. Is that showing up? Yes, it is. It's not the best because I'm streaming it from Teams. But there you go. There's my app on my phone. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so we're gonna do more of that next week when we actually play test it, so to speak. So with that, when my camera eventually comes back on, why is it not coming on? Hello? Let's go back to there, and then let's go back to full cam. Excellent. All right, so I think that that's been very successful. Fun as always. Thank you, Igor. Uh, the I would say that we got through a few things there that's certainly useful. Again, I haven't hit as much as I want. So I would say that I said this last time. Estimates are hard, even for someone that's been doing this for a long time. The difference here, I'm going to make a few excuses. I am talking with everything I'm doing. So it is absolutely slowing me down. But I'm also kind of still fumbling my way through the Canvas app side of things. It's not my strong suit. I'm very much a Dataverse developer. I've built Canvas apps, but it's slow because I don't do it very often. So I'm having to work it out every single time. So it is absolutely slower than I would have liked. I would probably be going a little bit faster if I wasn't streaming, but that's part of the fun. You are literally getting an entry, a thought, a rambling view of what is actually going on in my brain. That's a scary thought. Um, but so we did the highlight letters for the word. We sorted out the enter issues on the key, which is great. We added backspace. We showed it on the app itself on the phone. We're getting there. So the next thing, according to my requirements, still need to do the highlight keys of letters in words. So we'll do that. I'll have a think about how I'm going to do that before the next stream. We want an end condition so we can actually test that we've won. That's pretty important. We need to introduce a word list. Now that's the big thing for next week, I think. So for that, I'm going to go simple. You'll see what I mean. I do believe, based on what I'm looking at, we should be able to finish this next week. Functionally. Just depends on how much the keyboard thing is going to take. But I think that's fine. All right. Well, anyway, thank you very much once again. And I will see you. Well, I won't see you, but you'll see me next week. Thank you very much. And